sickle shaped red blood cells, unlike normal red cells that pass smoothly through the blood vessels and obstruct blood flow. The result? Episodes of extreme pain, popularly referred to as crisis, as well as chronic damage to vital organs. People who have the disease inherit 2 copies of the sickle cell gene from one parent. He or she will have sickle cell trait. Findings show that sickle cell disease is most common in people whose families come from Africa, South or Central America, and some countries in the Mediterranean. Nigeria accounts for the largest number of sickle cell births, with over 150,000 babies born every year with sickle cell, and 4 million of the population in the country live with sickle cell. It is also sad to know that 75% of babies born with sickle cell disease occur mostly in children under 5 years, adolescents, and pregnant women, because there is little genetic counseling available for prospective parents. Unions between sickle cell disease carriers result in the birth of sickle cell disease children. This week's edition of Health Options takes a look at the diagnosis, treatment, and management of sickle cell disease. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah. How aware are Nigerians of their genotype? Let's hit the streets to find out just how much people know about sickle cell disease and the importance of knowing one's genotype.
No, I don't know my genotype.
I don't know.
So do you have any information on the sickle cell anemia?
I don't know it too.
What's your genotype?
My genotype is AS.
I know that as an AS person, I can't marry anybody who is AS, or else there's high probability of giving birth to at least 1 or 2 kids that would have sickle cell.
If I get a partner that is AS, it too much affects me because I have a genotype of AA.
Not much. I just know that it's important for people to know their genotype so it could help them in picking their life partners.
This is Health Options, and we kickstart the program with a discussion on the diagnosis, treatment, and management of sickle cell disease. And to take us through the topic is Dr. Akwebu Chiwendu. She is from the Department of Pediatrics, National Hospital, Abuja. Thanks for coming on Health Options, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, everyone.
We also have in the studio Ibazukwa Irabo Benjamin. He is with the Junior Chamber International Nigeria, a non-governmental organization. Welcome to Health Options.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's, I'm going to start with Dr. Chiwendu. You're a medical doctor, you're a pediatrician. And we know that at the mention of sickle cell disease, children, for no fault of theirs, are just born with this disorder, and what follows is unimaginable. I can speak from the point of someone who had family members who are sickle cell sufferers. And why should we be having such situation when we know that it's something that can be prevented from even happening?
Well, thank you very much for your question again. Actually, I'm a pediatrician, but I'm a resident doctor. I'm in training for pediatrics specialty in my hospital right now. Okay. So back to your question, the actual problem here we have here in our country is that of ignorance. Most of the people, most of people, no matter how much enlightened they are, you find that they are less literate or even know that something that is called your genotype exists. So they don't get tested, and in the process they get to marry people that their partners get to have this sickle cell trait, and then they get to marry them, and then their children come up with this.
So you just mentioned sickle cell traits.
Yes, please.
What are we talking about? It's about the genes. Can you break it down to the layman's understanding?
Exactly. Now, there are a lot of terminologies. From your introduction, you mentioned a lot of things. First of all, the sickle cell trait I would like you to know is that this individual has one hemoglobin S gene, which is the abnormal hemoglobin, and then one normal hemoglobin, which is hemoglobin A. When this person has this that's the genotype that is called AS by the general terminology. When this person has this, it means that the person doesn't actually have the illness, but he can transfer it to his children. Like if this person gets to marry somebody with a similar trait, that's the AS genotype, the person has a 1 in 4 chance of transferring this sickle cell hemoglobin to the offspring. And when the offspring now has 2 sickle cell genes, that means the SS hemoglobin, then this person now has sickle cell anemia. However, when this person has hemoglobin S and any other form of abnormal hemoglobin, because there are more than 800 variants of abnormal hemoglobin
so
out
it's
there
not
in
just
the world.
the S.
So it's not just the S.
Okay.
There is the C, there is a hemoglobin E, there is a hemoglobin O, there is a hemoglobin D. These ones are the common ones that are of medical importance, but there are more than 800 variants of them. So when this individual has the hemoglobin S and any of these other ones that I have mentioned, then a person can be said to have sickle cell disease. But the sickle cell anemia, the person must have 2 hemoglobin S genes, and that's the kind of person that usually comes down with all these attendant complications that you've just mentioned earlier.
And all of that.
Thank
I
you.
have seen them, we are having such crisis, and it's not anything you want to wish even your worst enemy.
Of course.
So I'm still staying on the fact that if people don't have that awareness, if the awareness is not there, what should we be doing? And that's where you come in, Ibazuko. What is your NGO trying to do? How is it trying to close that gap?
We as an NGO, we are trying to close the gap by creating awareness to the populace, because we know that individuals don't really get to know their genotype. From the findings or from the little research I did, or both of me and my team did, we saw that it's only when you get to maybe get to the period of you wanting to get married, that is when you are being made mandatory to know your genotype. And we look at it that it is wrong. There should be a government policy for individuals. I mean, when a child has been born, for the genotype to be known. If as an individual, I know my genotype from the secondary school level, and I know my colleague or my proposed partner also know his or her genotype, I'll know that, okay, these persons, we are compatible and we'll be able to start up a family. Because
we've also seen situations whereby the couple are aware of their genotypes, that the lady is AS and the man is AS2, and they still go ahead and get married, and children are not SS sufferers.
Well, let me come in there.
Isn't that a wrong signal to people? Because we could describe it as luck being on their side, but should people take such risk?
Of course, it's a risky situation, which somebody, knowing fully well all the implications of having a child that has sickle cell anemia, to go into that kind of relationship, it's actually a huge risk. Now, like I said earlier, when parents have the sickle cell trait, they have a 1 in 4 chance of having a sickle cell anemia child with each pregnancy. So really, I think that this couple you've mentioned, they are really lucky because probability was on their side. I don't think that it's right for such couples to, do that, because it sends the wrong message, like you said, across to other people.
Okay. Take us through diagnosis now. What do we have?
Now, for diagnosis, there are different types. There's the screening test that you can do, and then there are the diagnostic tests. One of the screening tests is a sickling test, in which case the person's blood is diluted in some form of substance like sodium metabisulfite, and then you find it helps to deoxygenate the blood. You know, we said earlier that hemoglobin is the protein in the red blood cell that carries oxygen.
Yeah.
So when it deoxygenates the blood, and then you see that abnormal red blood cell now sickles, viewing it under the microscope, that tells you that this person has the abnormal hemoglobin. So that's one of the screening tests that can be done. There's also other types like the hemoglobin electrophoresis, in which case you try to see how hemoglobin can move across an electrical field. Then the S hemoglobin moves slower than the A hemoglobin. So with the separation, the lab scientists will be able to identify from the separation across an electric field which one is A and F. Then there are also other ones that are more specialized, yes, like the high performance liquid chromatography, or also the isoelectric focusing. That one also tries to separate the different forms of hemoglobin. Well, in this case, it tells you, like especially the high performance liquid chromatography, it tells you actual percentages of different forms of hemoglobin that the individual has, and that way it can help you diagnosis, treatment, prognosis too. These ones you can use it for everybody, whatever age from birth to adulthood.
So what about the treatment options? What options are available?
Well,
I already know that it's not curable. So what are those treatment options?
Exactly. Well, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is early diagnosis, because once the person is diagnosed early enough, follow-up is continued, and the person can have an almost normal life. So basically, when a person is noted early, the follow-up is it involves a whole number of doctors, including the person's primary physician, the pediatrician, or the hematologist, basically. And then, depending on what other complications the person come up with, doctors in those specialties. You know, so at the regular clinic, person is given, you know, supplementation, folic acid supplementation. The person's blood percentage is checked on a regular basis, and the person is tried to be kept free from infections by, you know, having some immunization, specialized immunization, apart from the regular MPI immunization. Other specialized immunization that protect the person from infection. The person is advised to always get hydrated, take a lot of water, and then avoid some kind of strenuous exercises or, you know, extremes of weather and so on. Now, when this person, also there are some other tests that you do. You know, you can also check the brain to know about blood flow in the brain, to be able to identify those that are at risk of strokes and so on, so that you can curb it earlier on. There are advanced, and these are how to keep the person in a stable state so that the person doesn't come down with disease.
So how should it be best managed?
Each one that the person comes down with has a different line of management. Like for the pain crisis, when they have bone pains, extreme bone pains, you know, a lot of fluid, pain relief, treatment of infection, because most of it, sometimes infections can trigger most of their crisis. So this person usually requires to be in a hospital.
Are they normally placed on
special diet?
There's really no special diet for them. They should just eat proper, you know, balanced diet like every other human being. But they should also have lots and lots of water. Water, because the more hydrated the person is, the, you know, the flow. These sickle cells, they cause increased viscosity of in the blood, within the blood vessels. So they cause stasis. So with increased fluid intake, there is more hydration. The person is able to pass out more urine and so on. And basically, the whole body has free flow of blood going and circulating around. So hydration, basically, that's the key for them.
Okay. Let's look at the social angle more now. You want to really, you are an advocate.
Yes.
There's a message you want to send out. You want things to be done differently so that we have less, you know, children being born of that. What exactly are you going to be doing?
As first, when the child has been born, at least the child ought to know his genotype. Even in secondary school, when you are being enrolled into secondary schools or any facilities, any government institution, at least you'll be able to know that you have this genotype, you have this trait. It's not just waiting till the very last ending, maybe when you want to now settle down. That is when you now want to now know your genotype. That is going, like what you said, you having someone that has, they have the traits and they eventually
got married.
That is because they are lucky. On some cases, maybe the first child will be the one that has the sickle cell disease. Throughout the marriage, there will be crisis. The NGO is here to create awareness about the sickle cell awareness, and also make a government accountable in the sense that they should put up policies that when a child is being born in any health institution, the child should be tested and know his or her genotype. And also in the rural community, because we intend to go to the rural community, because many of these facilities is very, very, because it's costly and it's only centered around the city center. So we're also looking at going to the the rural communities to also talk about the sickle cell disease, so that we can bring the tests closer to them. From there, we can see how we can reduce the death rate or the birth rate of children born with sickle cell disease.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Akukwe Mutuendu, for coming on Health Options.
Thank you for having me.
We also thank you, Eba Kwazo.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's time to go over to our nature scanner for a peep into the medicinal value of lemon.
A lot of people have asked us that should they take lemon or should they not take lemon? Why won't you take lemon? Lemon is fruit and it belongs to the citrus family. It's like oranges. In fact, lemon is very rich in vitamin C. So when you're taking lemon, what you are actually doing is that you are taking vitamin C. It will advise you, rather than go to swallow vitamin C conventional tablet, we tell you to take your lemon, which belongs to the citrus family. You can harvest lemon yourself. You can also buy lemon and use them raw the way they are, and it is a very rich source of vitamin C. Vitamin C is important in body immunity, development of body immunity, and ensuring that cell integrity is intact and maintained. So, and lemon is a powerful antioxidant. It's a powerful source of antioxidant because, in fact, the most potent antioxidant in nature is vitamin C. Nature provides that. And when we do our experiments in the laboratory, we actually use vitamin C as the reference antioxidant, compound to compare how well other compounds perform when we investigate the antioxidant properties. So consumption of lemon is encouraged the way it is. You have source of lemon. It has been proven scientifically that lemon also has anti-inflammatory properties. So people who suffer from pains, strains, arthritis, pains of arthritis, are encouraged to take a lot of lemon. It is also very useful. It's a good carminative agent and helps in digestive because of its digestive effects. So it aids in digestion because of the soluble fiber that it contains. So, like we always say, it mops up. The language to understand here is that it mops up. It helps to mop up the free radicals. That is those agents that are responsible for causing cancer in human beings. This consumption of lemon helps to mop up. It subsidizes these compounds and sets you free. Whether you lick lemon or you squeeze it or you chew or you lick it and end up chewing the sharp, you are consuming lemon. One of the best ways actually to take lemon is in warm water, because the solubility of the way what we call solubility is when the constituents in the material we are looking at, how it can go well into the liquid what we call the vehicle that we want to use in our studies. Sometimes we use cold, sometimes we use warm or hot water, depending on the phytoconstituent that we are targeting. But lemon in warm water will help to extract a lot of these useful phytoconstituents like vitamin C, vitamin B, and a lot of other components that are in there in lemon. So squeeze lemon in cold or warm water, preferably warm water. Drink lemon or consume your lemon like orange by peeling and using it. Or when you finish squeezing and drinking your lemon juice, you eat the shaft. These are all very, some people it might be bitter, but for the people like me, that bitter part is what I love most. And like I said, this is what also helps digestion. There's nothing that does not have its own side effects. Therefore, there is a quantity that can be too much. The reason why people don't usually come down with overdose, acute overdose of products like lemon is because the constituents are actually highly water soluble, and because of that is highly distributed in the body and can easily be excreted from the body. But the caution is be moderate in consumption of products like lemon. The side effect of consuming excess of these fruits is that many of these products that contain agents that can increase the acidity or lower the pH of your system is when taken too much will acidify the system, whereas the body should is preferably alkalinized instead of, that is, the pH is better when it tends towards the alkaline. The major effect that you get from this is that you have a lot of, you create an acidic system in your environment. And for us, on the long term and from experiments done in the laboratory, this predisposes animals, in experimental animals. It has been shown that this predisposes them to ulcers and then radicals, that could, because of excess acid in the system, you create environment that is favorable to development of tumors in the body system. So that is why we will always caution people to be moderate in what how they consume and the quantity of these products that they consume.
Now you know a lot of reasons why lemon should be among your favorite fruits. And that does it on this week's edition of Health Options. You can watch the upload of other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. Thank you for watching. I am Rabi Abdullah. See you next time.
State Polytechnic, Ubokolo, from the Department of Graphic Art. He's very passionate about his work and has